What's goody to the guys? What's popping to the people? It's been a minute, but we back. And for most of you all, y'all under the assumption that it's a new year, but yeah, whatever. And that there's a problem with that. Here's why I say y'all under the assumption, because look, once again, me and my people, we just do. We don't be looking into nothing. Now, if you believe that it is actually 2019, that is only because, for one, if you're black, you don't know nothing about your history. And for two, you should be a Christian, which most of you all think you're Christian, so I guess that fits. But that we're talking about a 2,000-year-old religion, so it is Christianity that has put us on the path to think that this is 2019. But if this were 2019, there wouldn't be a such thing as BC. Feel me? You know, what you all think it means before Christ, which it kind of does, but essentially it means before the Common Era. That's why a lot of times you see BCE. So realistically, it is impossible for this to be 2019, because that would mean that the world is slightly over 2,000 years old. And that's kind of what your Bible teaches you, and that is kind of a crock of you know what. I mean, like, they credit the Sumerians for being the first civilization. That was 3,000 something BC. So then, yeah, anyway. So, as I was saying, it's a new year for most of you all, but it's not really a new year. And if you think about it, that's why them dudes in the Bible used to get so old, because they ain't had no calendars. Which is another one of the traps that has been set before you. Another little piece of confusion to get you all twisted up inside. But, you know, it is what it is. It's their thing. They call it how they want to. But, what, Moses was like 600 and something when God told him to build the ark, allegedly? Oh, we gonna have a ball with y'all today, baby. But, wasn't no calendars. Wasn't no clocks. Wasn't nobody. You couldn't tell that nigga he was late. Which is beautiful, because niggas do be late. Some of y'all conscious people ain't gonna like that. Y'all know me. Okay, we'll do this. I'm new to this conscious thing. I don't know all the rules. Anyway, yeah. So it's not 2019, but whatever. Who cares? The fact still remains. Most of y'all just got through spending lots of money you didn't have on lots of things you don't need. And the kids probably don't even play with that stuff no more already. So I know a lot of y'all sitting there like, why in the world did I spend real money on that stuff? Dude don't even ride the big wheel. It's too cold outside. He turned up the carpet with the power wheels, and I'm tired of the remote control bumping into the wall, messing up the paint. I know, trust me. I used to go through it. But hopefully, by this time next year, if you're still watching this channel, there will be no such nonsense. I got a good one for y'all. It took me a minute, because I'm gonna keep it real. I had an idea to do something. I felt like I could hit y'all with something real quick. Then I got to thinking about, I got to going over what I wanted to do. And I just felt like I would do a disservice to you all to run through it quickly. So I put some work in. I told you I'm gonna start working. I'm taking this like a job. I'm punching the clock on you dudes. When I come in here and y'all see me lean back in my chair in front of my laptop, I'm finna go to work surgically. I'm finna get surgical on your mental. Call me Dr. Gator. I'm finna go in on you. So I put it together, man. I got slides, definitions, little pictures, and all that, man. I'm looking at a page full of about 70 slides, man. What? I mean, okay. It's 4 a.m., right? It's about to be 4 a.m. Your boy start working on just the setup for y'all tonight and polishing up my notes and getting everything in the right area. I started on that about 1:30. Man, I was in here bumping Smokey, you know what I mean? The Isley Brothers and all that. I was in here getting into my bag, baby. Speaking of that, I'm going to hold off on that for a second. Because I got to get at you Negroes. You people, oh my Lord. So this how y'all do me, huh? This how y'all do me. So, did y'all really just shut down social media for the last 48 hours over Dr. Peabody? Yes, R. Kelly. I said it. So, y'all are sick, twisted. Like, that is the type, like I'm going to be honest with you. I absolutely love being an African. Got no ifs, ands, buts about it. Nothing, no second guessing, no Uncle Timing, no none of that. I love being an African. But it's certain every blue moon, just every blue moon, you Negroes do something that is so, just so, okay, let's just get to it. How the hell are you defending R. Kelly? If you're a man, in all honesty, you should have shut your ass up and just try not. If you wasn't going to say the obvious, you should have shut up. And if you're a female, you disgusting. It's just plain and simple. And I used to give people a little room because I'm a little bit older. I'm 41. Yeah, I'm getting away with it. Just be cool. But I remember when the tape first came out. I seen it on the DVD, bootleg. You know, that was a bootleg when the bootleg first came around. I watched it with my own eyeballs because, not for no sick shit, because if anybody know the two things, in all honesty, I've been in the underworld the majority of my, from teenager on up. So I'm not very judgmental when it comes to whatever the hell people decide to do sexually or not. But if you know me, the two things that I real not tolerate and I don't excuse is rape and pedophilia. Anything else, I feel like, okay, we'll figure it out. But those two things, there is no figuring it out. Those are sicknesses. So therefore, there's no cure except for extermination, you know? With that being said, I don't give a damn if he can sing to the heavens. They say Satan was a musician, the best they ever had. And y'all terrified of him, even though he fake as hell. But y'all scared of him. But R. Kelly can sing, and he can piss on kids too. And nobody says, what the hell is wrong with y'all? He pissed on the 15, whatever the fuck. He pissed on a little girl. Excuse me, Granny, I'm sorry. I'm going deep right now. He urinated on a young lady. Now, we live in the YouTube era. Your dumbass can Google it or YouTube it or whatever you want to and get the evidence for yourself. But I know you can go online somewhere. All these perverts getting stuff they ain't supposed to online, I'm sure you can get an R. Kelly video. Get the footage. Watch it for yourself if that's what you need. If you don't believe the millions of people who said they seen it, then watch it for yourself. The footage I seen had 3 females on it. The first of the 3 was a black young lady, then a white young lady, and then the one. The first 2, though they being underage, I'm going to be honest. I'm a man. There has been times in almost all men's life where they have met up with a woman, and I'm not getting to the sexual part. I'm saying met a woman, and upon meeting her, like in a lot of instances, females have fake IDs. Sometimes you meet them in the nightclub, wherever you meet her. You can't always tell she is not of age. So, I'm not excusing nothing. I'm making a point. The first 2, upon me visually looking at the footage, I would not have been able to just directly look at them and say, okay, they're underage. They were very mature in looks. Not talking about sexually. I'm talking about clothes on before you got to that part. Whatever. Now, the third young lady, the one that he actually urinated on. He was outside in his little, what do they call that? The grotto, the little waterfall thingy he had outside. And she was dancing, or whatever the case may be. You could openly tell she was under fucking age. And in the middle of her dancing, being all starstruck, which a lot of people, you dudes be saying, and the females is the fucking worst. Y'all be like, that little heifer knew. She was just, who thinks like that? Whether she knew or not. Y'all get y'all ass in front of a superstar and give him every goddamn thing from the Rudy to the Tootie. All the time. So you think a young lady's going to have better self-control than you? There is a such thing as manipulation. And there is a such thing as being victimized. That's why they call them sexual predators. You're preying on someone. In order to prey on someone, they have to be either lesser intelligent or lesser experienced. They have to be manipulated. So anytime a more mature person in any aspect manipulates a younger person, that is to be questioned. Now, when you add sex into it, in this society, we call that a pedophile. There is no way, upon looking at that young lady, he did not know she was underage. But in the middle of her dance routine, he whipped it out and hit her with the tinkle. She jumped and looked weird. She wasn't expected. That was not what she was there for. Okay, she was underage being fast. She was there to give it up. She didn't want to be peed on. And I'm on Facebook watching predominantly females make more fuck. It's more men saying fuck dude than the female. It's more females riding with him. Still listening to the music talking about I don't care, he can sing. I've even asked females like, well, what if that was your daughter? They talking about, oh well, that's what her fast ass get. What type of fucking parent says shit like that? Okay, so let me go on record as saying this right here. This is my opinion. And it's harsh. And some of y'all ain't gonna like it. And I don't give a fuck. Watch another station, another channel, whatever you want to call it. If you're a female and you have a daughter, and you either listen to, play it in your headphones out loud, especially out loud, in any way, shape, or form, deal with R. Kelly and you have a daughter, you should lose your fucking children, you pedophile. You're a pedophile too. In my eyes, you're a pedophile. If you condone pedophilia, you're a pedophile. If you're a female saying that's what her hot ass get, you're a pedophile. That shit is disgusting. Y'all sick, for real. There is no excuse for what the man did. And to make it even worse, this nigga had the audacity to call herself the Pied Piper. Like, bro, that's the dude that was luring the kids into the cave with the flute and the stories. The man went to the awards when he was fighting the case. I remember, I'll never forget this. When he was fighting the case, he went to the damn BET or one of them award show with a fucking Zorro mask on. Talk about the Pied Piper. What the? That man is telling you what he about. And how come every time we hear his name, it's some type of scandal with women? Now he back and all these women and STDs and locking women in basements and hostages and what the fuck? And it's a sick psychosis, as if you haven't had enough done to you psychologically, that we've become so twisted that y'all don't watch the videos. I just told you we think like our masters. Had you had to watch that? I mean, because let's be honest. These discussions that I'm viewing are from my Facebook friends. A lot of them that I tag in the videos that they never watch. You Negroes got 48 hours to agree or disagree on whether R. fucking Kelly is a pedophile. But you can't watch an hour video about saving your mental or getting your mind right or just learning something. You can't spend an hour to learn. You don't have a clue whether I know what I'm talking about or not. What type of man? I mean, I don't get paid. I don't get very many views. And I'm talking about stuff that'll probably get my brains blowed out. Why am I doing this? Because I don't know what I'm talking about. I make the videos for a reason. Hopefully at one point you'll watch them and possibly learn something. I spend endless hours studying. That's the difference between them. I'm not like... My son played like 4 different of the hottest new rappers for me yesterday. When we got to the 4th song, I said, hey, this dude kind of hot. I thought it was the same guy the whole time. Which is more of a saying about the decline of today's hip-hop industry. But at the same time, I just really don't listen, don't care to. No, I'm not saying I don't at all. I had a couple people I like. It's not really relevant. And I still got some old school, I mean, not old school, but I like 90s stuff and early 2000s, some of them guys. But I have to be in a mood. I don't got the desire. Okay, put it this way. Most of y'all claim y'all street dudes and y'all live in it or y'all have lived it. Okay, if I'm 41 and I live that life, Why do I need to hear about it? What does that really do for me? Because the thing is this. A lot of y'all hate to look at yourself, and I understand. We've been taught self-hate. And that is a large reason why I do what I do, because it's so far embedded in us that we don't even, there's so many things that we don't, not only do we not understand, we don't care to understand. It just doesn't seem to matter. We are about what I need on a day-to-day, what I got to do for my family. I'm going to get this money. I tell y'all all the time, knowledge is the only real power, and information is the only real currency. What your dumb ass gonna do when they take the money away? Let's think about it. The government's in a shutdown right now, which means, technically speaking, all they gotta do is not agree for about 3 more weeks, and ain't gonna be no taxes. Now I know a lot of us Negroes, myself included, had all kind of plans for that money. What if you don't get it? What if you never get it again? What if they shut down the internet and all the information that you could have got you never do get? And there's so many questions when you have no clue what's going on in the world, because most of you all don't. You live in a world you don't understand. You subscribe to a belief system that you won't look into and don't have a clue where it came from. You believe in a world where you can only come into it through a woman, yet the creator of it is a man. You wake up every day with absolutely nothing on your mind but being a slave in some aspect. And I'm going to say this to everybody I grew up with. We street dudes. That's what we call ourselves. And I know a lot of street dudes that's getting real good money, staying under the radar, doing the right thing for their family, and that's all they ever knew how to do, and they're good people. Real great people. And some of them are doing really well, have all the things that you would want to get out of the streets, and then some. But 90% of them would never sit down and listen to what I'm saying right now. And if they even had the inkling to, most of them wouldn't make it through a 4-hour documentary. Why? Because I'm a different kind of dude. So even when I'm all running the streets, or when I was running the streets, I prefer the smarter street guy. What I'm saying is, like, I hang with some sharp dudes. When I was in the streets, I ran with some sharp dudes, some dudes that, like, was real on point. But if you open this door that I'm opening right now, they could care less, because it doesn't really matter in their day-to-day. And it seems so far removed, the information, a lot of people say, okay, what does it do for you? To know that there's an entire thing going on around you that you know absolutely nothing about. To be a part of a world where you think you understand, but you're wrong about pretty much everything you've ever learned. How could that not bother you? And it's like, people are so, I brought this up before, people are so quick to say, like a young lady told me last night, I know Christmas ain't real. I just, I know that's not Jesus' birthday. I just do it for the presents for my kids. That's the equivalent of knowing R. Kelly is a pedophile, but you'll still listen to the music. How does that fucking help? Are we so weak-spirited that we repeatedly know things ain't right and just go? Why? What are you so scared of? Oh, everybody talk that rah-rah shit. Everybody got guns. Everybody so gangster. But you won't do shit but shoot the shit out of one of your own people. That's it. That's the extent of your toughness. You will fuck up one of your own people. You won't do shit else. Niggas is smart as hell and will not pick up a fucking book. So with me knowing this, I say, I'll do it. I'll pick up the book. I'll get the education. And then I just hand it over to y'all. And I'm handing it over in a way that I'm bringing it to you in a way that everybody can feel. If you're on the intelligence side and that's how you view yourself, you wouldn't listen to me and feel like, oh, this dude's just an idiot. If you from the streets, you wouldn't listen to me and feel like, oh man, he trying to be like, no, I'm giving you a vibe that you can ride with on either side. And that's intentional because I want to make everybody comfortable. I really don't care. As I've said before, I love Africans. And in the core, we are African, whether y'all believe it or not. And some people understand that and some people don't like to hear that. It's a lot of people, a lot of my kings and queens, brothers and sisters in the conscious community that is so pro-black that they think you have to hate white. I don't got no problem with you believing what you want to believe. Some of the people I listen to are so harsh on white people, it's ridiculous. Doesn't mean I don't like their information, and some of the stuff's funny. They got to do with me. I like right. Don't care about nothing else. I'm super pro-African. Period. But I'm going to do what I want to do and like who I want to like. As long as you're right. I'm not selling out my people. I'm not telling no secrets. I'm not sleeping with the enemy and trading on nobody. I'm doing what I want to do. But you still going to get that African every time you hear from me. So, my point is, I care enough, like you should care enough. That's why R. Kelly pisses me off. Because y'all don't understand, to you all, it's just one entertainer. No, that's not what they doing. They propping up a popular failure, and they charting your response to it. A deadbeat dad womanizing pedophile. This is your hero. And they propping them up and giving them a show so everybody can see. Because in their mind, this is a representation of the black man. That's how they think we all are. And I just wonder, are you ever going to not fall for it? Every freaking time they get y'all. Who cares about R. Kelly? Who cares? Obviously y'all do, because that's all y'all talk about. What are you going to do? R. Kelly pissed on little kids and got away with it. Okay. What are you going to do? Besides whatever it is that you're doing already that is not doing anything for black people as a whole or humanity as a whole. Because, see, my first goal is my people. Ultimately, it's humanity. Whatever that consists of at the time when it occurs. That's a broad spectrum, and it could be whatever. Don't really care about that. My concern is with the creative force and the planet. Because it's the illusionary space that I'm occupying. So, Therefore, I'm going to participate. And that's just what y'all don't get. This is about participating. And with that being said, we're going to get right to it. I just wanted to touch on the R. Kelly thing because I think it's kind of sick and twisted that at this level, we have had so much done to us that we gravitate towards the filth. They paint us a filthy picture, and we gravitate towards it every single time. If you look at the state of the African American, and especially community-wise, we have gravitated towards almost every piece of filth that they've put in our way. It's almost like they can't miss. They like Curry with the shot when it comes to us. They can't miss. Double cross after double cross after scam after scheme after scheme. And every time we just jump in the car. Yes, sir, master. And to any of my white friends who may be watching, I'm liable to say anything. Y'all better not take none of this shit personal. I'll say what I want. Just told you what the goal was, so get over whatever come out of my mouth and get the lesson. Now, I'm calling this lecture, and it's the first of 3 or maybe 4, depending on how, well, at least 3. For those of you who've watched me before, you will hear me say, my number 1 rule in life is perception. Perception is everything. Perception is the most powerful word ever created, in my opinion. Nothing exists until it is perceived. If there's no perception, there is nothing. I have to perceive it, assess it, and then formulate whatever thought I have about it, or opinion, whatever the case may be. So, I'm calling this one perception and analytics. We're going to deal with, it's a new year. Let's kick it off. We're going to deal with this Christianity thing. And for those of you who are wondering why I stead the course, if you may think I'm a Christian bash, well, I really don't care. I do bash. You remember from the Flintstones, little Bam Bam? That's me when it comes to this religion. I'm Bam Bam in all you religions. I don't care. I'm starting with with Christianity because for one, I come from the Christian faith. For two, up until recently, I think it is one of the biggest driving forces that have misled us and pushed us in the wrong direction as a people. I think it hurts us the most. I'm not too fond of the other faiths either. I'm not doing the Hebrew Israelite thing with you all. And I'm not definitely not going to Islam. And that's just because of my findings. And I'm working on, we're growing together. We're a family. So I am, like I told y'all, I'm a street dude. I got so many flaws, it's ridiculous. The only thing I'm doing is educating myself and sharing what I've learned with who I love in hopes that what I say can spark something, whatever, and help with whatever I can help with. I'm just doing my duty while I'm here. And I could do more, and I will. I don't make any excuses. I'm learning how to do more. And it's a bit of a task for me coming from somebody who just ran the streets and committed crime. So I'm trying to, the transition is awkward, but I know it's for the best. So I'm in the process of y'all getting to know me. I'm in the process of making a lot of changes and doing it as we change together. You know, I'm growing. So I really am. I don't know. I feel like I'm just not dealing with none of it. Put it to you that way. I'm not dealing with none of it. When it comes to the Hebrew Israelites, I got some problems with that doctrine, and that will be perception too. We're going to deal with that also. I think, to be honest with you, in all honesty, I think my first sentence of that doctrine completely destroys the entire everything. But just for for the fun of it, I'm gonna do a whole lecture. But I think I have one sentence that kills the entire thought process. At least it does for me anyway. But what I was gonna say is that as we're growing, I want to watch what I say. As far as a lot of times you will hear speakers, and I'm sure I can't pinpoint a moment, but I'm sure I've used fact, saying that it's a fact. And a lot of people say now you hear one of the popular saying that people say facts in the middle of their talking. They say facts, and what's a fact? For everything that you could look up, you can find an opposing argument. So then, what's a fact? Perception is everything. So one of the beautiful minds that has inspired me to teach and that I learned from on my journey is peace be upon the late ancestor Dr. Delbert Blair, and beautiful mind. I heard about him through other speakers, and that's how I am. If something sparks me, then I dig. So I looked into the God, and he was a lot of what I first heard was on the extraterrestrial type of path. And at one point in my development, I was really into that. I was all into David Icke and just going down that path and just, finding where I wanted to be not where I want to be. I go everywhere with my research. I'm not just in a religion, just so you know. I dig into metaphysics, extraterrestrials, obviously governmental issues, everything. Wherever I can find some knowledge that interests me, I'll take a peek. And if I really like it, I'm going all the way in. I even did the moon for about a couple months, just strictly just going in on the moon. And then I'll share all my findings. But what I'm saying is, Dr. Blair used to always say, there is no truth until you decide what truth is. And that, in my mind, is the equivalent of perception is everything, which is something that has been my mantra 20 plus years. Something I just came up with and I rolled with it. Found it to be even more accurate than I thought, and it's really been a saving grace for me just to know that there is no fact until I find it. When I'm looking or researching, I grab a thread and I pull. And I go into either I'm exhausted or I have exhausted it. And trust me, it takes a long time for me to get exhausted. I'm talking weeks. I can get on a topic for weeks. Easily. Months. Easily. As long as it piques me, I'll dig as far as I can dig. So, with that being said, that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to start it off for the new year. Everything that I bring to the forefront, I want to be building blocks for us growing together and learning. And I would like, I would like, hopefully, for each lesson to expound off of the last one so that we build it. So, like, say if I say, like now, I'm saying perception is everything. I don't want it to be like, okay, I watched the lecture, I dug it, it was deep or it was interesting, and then now when you get to the next lecture, you start over. No. I want you to be in the next lecture or go back into the last lecture and hear something that may pique you one way or the other, or maybe something that you dislike, or maybe something that you think is a non-truth. And then maybe the perception is everything process will allow you to go deeper and either find something that you can bring to the God pointed out so that I can look at it and understand it. Or maybe you go somewhere and say, hey, you know what? Perception is everything. Let me twist this thing a little bit and look from a different lens. I want fact to be what you feel a fact is. But with that being said, you have to be diligent and honest. Like I told you, I exhaust the topic. You have to do the same. Don't find the first thing that agrees with what you believe and run with it. Exhaust the topic. Look at both viewpoints. And if you have a viewpoint you favor, once you're done with that, go read what the opposing viewpoint is and dig into that. You may find something even more interesting than what you thought was on your side. Because we're here for the best version of reality we can get. This is the Matrix, baby. It's all an illusion. But it's your illusion. So you can steer it. You can guide it. You can claim it. That you are in a moment. You are in a beautiful time. You are in a historical moment where you're a part of a world that is changing right in front of you. There's heinous things going on. There's a potential crooked secret societies or governmental things. There's talks of Illuminati. There's talks of Masonry. There's talks of government shutdowns. I mean, there's so many things going on. There's talks of liberation in other countries. There's modern day slavery going on. I mean, there is so much going on in this time, and you're a part of it. And you don't care about none of it. You just want to do you and take care of yours. That's selfish. Why wouldn't you care? Why wouldn't you want to participate in a historical moment? Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the change in force that made this place better for that family that you claim you care so much about? Because when they find out you didn't know nothing but how to get money, and then we don't even get enough money to like street level cat. Like if you see 100,000 on the streets, you blessed. Like to actually be hustling, have 100,000 to yours, and still doing your thing. Now, to actually have a couple 100,000. Do you know how, like realistically, y'all? You know how many few street dudes actually cuff a couple 100,000 and survive and live to tell about it? It's not what people may think. And a lot of people who you think is really having it, like, it don't really be like that, man. I'm just telling you. I've been to the super high level on the streets. And like, when the people come, you'll eat up a couple 100,000 on lawyer fees. So let's think about that. If you think it's so glorious, think about the street dudes you know that you think is like really popping, that you really revere like he really popping. And ask yourself honestly, do you honestly think that dude got 300,000? $250,000? Take it a step further. How many of them got $500,000? How many street dudes you think have honestly reached $500,000? That they kept, not that they was able to juggle. I'm talking about had $500,000 put up and then had what they was working with on the streets and was still climbing. That's not happening every day like that. You got the hoods in every city full of drug dealers. Most who never see $100 grand. And spend every day trapping, hustling, grinding, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not down talking it. It's my world. But what I'm saying is, your whole existence consumed, and you never even seen $500,000, which is not even close to what you would call money. You can't leave $500,000 down for generations. So if the average African American is a street hustler, and the average street hustler never sees $500,000, then it's safe to say that the average African American will never pass anything down to anyone. Now, this is all just my analysis, but if you listen, if you listen to my analysis and you honestly just look at the way of the world around you, you ain't got to look at the whole world. Look at your hood, because it's the same. I've been all over the country. And for the ones, I got a couple cats in mind right now from my very own city that is like really revered as having it. That they had all the flyest whips and all of that. But I honestly, in my heart of hearts, you can't pay me to believe that any of them have $500,000. I don't believe it. And I'm almost positive I've only met maybe one or two dudes, personally, street hustlers, that touched $1 million from the streets, which is no freaking money. So let's just say benefit of the doubt. And say $1 million. Let's just say you could say, if there was, which clearly there is, if there was give you an easy number. If there was 50 million street hustlers in the world, 50 million street hustlers, how many of those 50 million street hustlers, let's just assume, put the whole world in a bubble and say, for the whole world, there's 50 million street dudes, which there's way more than that. How many of those 50 million do you think ever seen $1 million? Not very many. So what's the point to all this? You're so wrapped up in an existence that is a nowhereville. Yet you refuse to educate yourself on how to seek interest, care, or concern for something bigger. We all, you know how many times I hear people saying, especially now because it's such a commercialized saying, and this is such an internet era. Everybody's a king and queen now. Then you hear people, and I say it sometimes, just trying to show love, but I'm analyzing as I'm speaking to the family right now. We quick to call each other king and queens, and then you hear me refer to God. What up, God? I say God all the time, referring to, because I know we come from the God essence. But if you could so quick to call yourself a king and queen, how come nobody wants to behave like royalty? The king was the smartest dude around, or he couldn't have been king. None of this puppeteering you see with the governmental system. We talking about a real live king. Royalty is inherited, passed down. So, if you was heir to the throne, your entire existence was groomed towards teaching you how to sit on the throne. Education. Well, no games. With no frolic. Business. So if we all so quick to say that we descend from kings and queens, when do we get to the royal behavior? And when do we decide to look into what that even means? Past that, you don't know nothing about being black. You could tell me we come from Africa and we was kings and queens. That's what the average black person could tell you. What else you got for me? Nothing. Perception is everything. And then you want to be pro-black and you want to be Christian. In my opinion, that's impossible. It's impossible, in my opinion, to be a pro-black Christian. The two terms defy each other. Because Christianity, in its current phase as a Western religion, as it has been hijacked, is not that. You cannot be pro-black and be a Christian, I don't believe. I don't even believe you can be pro-black and believe in Jesus. I don't believe that. If I'm wrong, then let's talk about it. And I'm going to tell you why. And this is what we're going to deal with today. Originally, I told y'all, boy, I ain't playing with you. I got these notes on. I'm finna put these notes on you while I jump into I probably can't show y'all the label because I don't want no white folk trying to sue me, trying to talk about I don't know. But it was a health bar. Excuse me. We drank fire though. Got my H2O. Even though they sell us everything that's free. Y'all know everything about that? Like, they sell us water, y'all. I know man's buy it too, I ain't saying nothing. But, fam, they got like 1,000 different brands of bottled water. When nigga, it's water. Like, okay, like, how come this water tastes better than that water? Why is there ingredients on the back of the bottle of water? It's water. It should be nothing. Where the ingredients part is, it shouldn't be nothing. They got sources, sanctuary, spring. They lie. I don't believe it. Either way it go. The bar was fire. Back to my notes. I think about like land. It just grow from God. Or whatever, like it's land, it's just there. People just put fences up, say it's mine, and just say you can't come on it. These people weird. Look now. What we're gonna do is, like I said, perception and analytics. Things that need to be put under the microscope in Christianity. I'm about to get busy and go to work on y'all. And a lot of you Negroes gonna have every excuse on this wretched planet for why I just put this work on you. I'm finna put it right here though. It ain't no, you can't, you know. I don't know. Y'all be tripping. Number one, I really already touched on that, but let's go in again. I'm gonna make it brief too though. The accuracy of creation. Because as I said, Christianity is about 2,000 years old. The work they put in to making it official, about 4 years, 4,000. I mean, so we talking about 6,000 years. I mean, like, impossible. There was 13 dynasties before Christianity. Sometimes I don't know what to say. And if you believe that the world is only 2,000 years old, then probably still believe in Santa. I don't know what to say to y'all sometimes. Let's get busy, man. All right. We're going to deal with this dude right here. Just because sometimes I don't know what to do with y'all. All right. Let's have it. Now they say, okay, so how old is Christianity? This is an article right here. I got articles for y'all and everything. Check this out. All right, it says, how old is Judaism? How old is Christianity in comparison to Judaism? Judaism existed prior to Christianity and is in fact the third main Abrahamic faith. Judaism is arguably the core belief system through which Christians and Muslims were born. That's weird. This due to Abraham being viewed as the first Hebrew and therefore father to the Jewish people. So as you can see, answering how old is Islam and how old is Christianity leads us to answering how old is Judaism. This is also where we start running into problems historically, records being fuzzy, documents contain contradicting accounts and such. Discovering the age of Judaism is a lot more difficult. Why so much mystery in y'all little religion? It's just so confusing. And y'all gonna say because God works in mysterious ways. You ain't lying. He don't make sense a lot. Anyway, so Christianity comes from Judaism, according to this. And I personally think that these fairy tales be so interesting. I just don't even see. You know what? Sometimes I can't. You can't always say what you want to say. All right. Anyway, Christianity began in the 1st century A.D. Let's call it 30 A.D. as a Jewish sect, but quickly spread throughout the Greco-Roman world. Greco-Roman. So you little Africans is following a religion that spread throughout the Greco-Roman world, despite early persecutions of Christians under the Roman Empire. So now, this is where it's gonna get weird. So they used to hate the religion, and somehow they became the chief ambassadors of it. I wonder how that happened. And you Africans sure do let the Romans tell y'all what to do a lot. Christianity is the world's biggest religion, about 2.1 billion followers worldwide. It is based on the teachings of Jesus Christ, who lived in the Holy Land 2,000 years ago. This is Google. This is not even real research. I just cared enough to push a few buttons and Google. That's all it takes. Just a little bit of care. Just a little concern about what you're going through in the world that you live in. But watch this. Here's my rule of thumb. Whatever they tell you, look for the opposite. They never tell the truth. Why would they? This system was designed on manipulation from every angle. So they're definitely not going to give you the word of the real true word of God. Watch this though. Christianity as it is today was invented in the 1st century, but early Christianity has been around forever. It was founded by Jesus' apostles who spent the life of Jesus and watched his miraculous doings, then spread the news of Jesus, and it eventually got more and more popular. Yeah, right. Check this out. See now, really, Constantine is the key. You gotta dig into Constantine. In the beginning, it's amazing how the same people who couldn't stand the Christians. Was beating the brakes off of them for years. Just overnight, found a heart. Now, I even hate telling this story because I know how y'all mind work and y'all gonna get all caught up and oh my God, it's like, this is what he said. He said he received a vision the night before battle. And the Lord told him to put his symbol on the shield. And if he did so, he would be victorious. So he had all the shields adorned with the symbol of the church and was victorious and immediately converted to a Christian and walked righteous. And they even call this dude Constantine the Great. So now, Rome was divided. It was so big, just couldn't no one dude run it. So basically was ran by 4 people, divided into 2 halves. His daddy was one of the 2 on one side, and then you had 2 on the other side. Now what? Once his daddy was dead, then they leave him. Now, if I give him credit for anything, it was for being smarter than all the dummies before him. He didn't get no damn, they talked to Jesus, no. Politics. Everything is politics. He made sense out of it. First of all, the Christians was getting big as hell. Every ruler before him tried to fight him, and even if you wanted to fight, you were so weak, it was ridiculous. But to be honest with you, the job of being Roman emperor, being the Roman emperor was so dangerous. It was ridiculous, man. They was getting assassinated left and right. So it was like, that was a job that not too many people wanted. So you got uprisings left and right. You got all the emperors steady getting assassinated. Christians going crazy, deep in numbers. He thought politically. And then he also realized that in order to make this thing happen, he needed to get help from some of them inside guys on as far as political backing. Now, a lot of those inside guys was kind of divided. A lot of them wasn't giving up their original beliefs, which was sun god worship. They call them pagans, but they say anything that's non-Christian is a pagan, so I really don't get off into that, because what is a pagan? But, I mean, you'll hear all kind of different theories, but realistically, Christians call anything that's not Christian pagan when it's all said and done. But what it is was, Rome had all kind of different guys, different belief systems, but a lot of them was into Mithra worship, sun god worship. That was the deity that they was worshiping. And so a lot of them high up dudes that he really needed to get the backing from, that was in them little secret societies worshiping Mithra and sun gods and all that. So he couldn't completely switch gears. But then at the same time, you had a lot of important people who was on the low rocking with the Christians. So now, what keep Rome in such turmoil is all these different belief systems, which is what you see today, or so you think. So this is when he got smart and realized, because of the growing influx of Christianity, he could use that and work it to his advantage as long as he let his supporters know that it was really just game. So, openly, he pronounced himself Christian. He came up with that story, got everybody in the same mind frame, went out, banged the other people, took over everything. And that's the lie he told. Talking about, oh, I seen Jesus and he told me to convert. No, you seen money, power. Now, as a result, now you really have merged everybody that's getting into it don't have to fight no more. Because now, with one move, the Christians happy, the pagans are happy. What is there to be upset about? We all can do what we want to do now. Here's the proof. Nothing really changed. The only thing that changed is they stopped beating the hell out the Christians. But they had to, because they hid up under the Christians' flag. Because look, I keep telling y'all, December 25th, they was already celebrating. That was the Nimrod celebration. Worship of sun god deity. You have to understand what you be looking at. You don't. That's why when we get to your boy JC, I got something for ya. Oh yeah. Y'all ain't gonna like it. But either way it go, this is what was really going on. So now they got y'all all talking about the Jesus and the Apostle Paul, and no. The way Christianity spread and became the number one religion is because of the vision of Constantine seeing that the best route to go was to get up under the Christian flag, merge. That's why they call him Constantine the Great. Google first emperor. They attribute, first pope. They attributed him with being the first pope. He brought this whole thing together. That is why I tell y'all all the time, you're living in modern day Rome. This is what you're living in. Every day of the week. Monday, Moon Day. Tuesday, Tia, the God of War. This is why all music and movies are released on Tuesdays. Because this is conscious war. See, y'all don't think along them lines. To them, this is a conscious war. They wage war on your consciousness, which is what movies is. That's why so many hidden signals and messages inside the movies. That's why hip-hop, which is the biggest music genre out there, is so heavily polluted with occultism and Satanism and double messages and hidden messages. It's a thing. It's one thing. You are thinking separation because you trained to. And I'm gonna do a whole lecture. It might be my next one to explain the why, and how we became creatures of separative thinking when all is one. You all believe in a creator, but you believe in separation. That makes no sense. You all believe in a creator, but you believe one is better than another. That makes no sense. All is one. All is different expressions of the one. And every time you tune into me, I'm going to continue to prove it. This is just mumbo jumbo intended to distract. The spreading of your religion was a religious move. Was a political move. Everybody always, and I hear other speakers, everybody always talking about the Council of Nicaea. But nobody says who put it together. That was Constantine's meeting. Constantine put together the Council of Nicaea. He's the one that called everybody in. Constantinople became the first Christian Mecca. He built churches everywhere. Not because of Jesus. Churches make millions. Jesus don't count the money. Followers make millions. Jesus doesn't give you a religion. The same people that y'all say killed him took over his religion. That don't strike anyone as odd. How come nobody talks about that? The same people y'all say killed Jesus took over his religion and now run the world. That don't seem weird to y'all? But I could say anything. I got something for y'all. Check this out.
Early Christian history states that the Roman Emperor Constantine received a divine vision of Jesus before defeating his arch-rival Maxentius, winning control of the Roman Empire and causing the Western world to become Christian. But was Constantine a true Christian? The most important statement we have from him is his triumphal arch in Rome. On it, Simca doesn't find a single Christian icon, but he does find pagan symbols. On this panel, Constantine is surrounded by pagan gods, the god of the river Tiber, a winged goddess of victory, and by Roma, goddess of Rome. An archaeological patchwork of pagan symbolism. Compelling evidence that Constantine only adopted Christian ideas to gain favor with Roman soldiers in both his and Maxentius's armies. But winning over common soldiers wasn't enough.
To gain control over the entire Roman Empire, Constantine needed the support of the officer corps and the Roman elite. Many members of these classes belonged to a mysterious cult that had been around since before Jesus. That cult was called Mithraism, named after a Mediterranean sun god called Mithras. How did Constantine mobilize both these religions to serve his own ends? Can it be that what appealed to him was a blend of Mithraism and Christianity? Did he fuse the two together to create a super religion that would allow him to gain control over the entire Roman world?
Here's another fun fact about Constantine that I want to quote it because I heard about it from, I believe I heard about it from, maybe it was Dick Gregory. I'm pretty sure it was Dick Gregory. But he actually had, like, down there, everybody killed. Dude didn't play. But if I had to give him credit for anything, I would say he was a visionary. I would say, if I'm just analyzing from that standpoint, I think I would say he analyzed the faults of his predecessors, and he was able to foresee the future enough to see that to continue this thing with the Christians, he would end like all the rulers before him, dead and didn't make a difference. So I think all the evidence points to him striking a deal with the higher ups in that religion and reaching some type of conclusion that allowed him to fake a conversion and bring the masses in. And now, to anybody who's listening to this and may feel like I'm reaching or feel like this is far-fetched, you have to do some history and understand the times and just the way things work. A lot of rulers, lots of rulers, have switched religious practices for political purposes. What do you think United States presidents do? They're not really Christians. I mean, they say they are. A lot of them attend mass barely, but it's more so for a show of face. But most rulers, or not most, well, a lot of rulers all throughout history have switched religious practices for political reasons. That's the way it goes. So that's not unheard of. And I just think he foresaw that that was the best move for Rome, and that's what he did. He shifted gears and kept it moving. Because, like I said, the evidence leads to him not changing any of his practices or belief systems. And if you fast forward, like I made the point earlier, the same people that was running things back then subsequently own the religion that is running things right now. And we just happen to live in a country that is considered a Christian country, and we are governed by a set of rules called the Constitution. Constantine is the one who put together the Council of Nicaea, which is more popularized than most people know about. There were several council meetings having to deal with all types of stuff, especially surrounding religion and which direction the governing body was going to move in. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. At the Council of Nicaea is where they discussed lots of things, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But to surmise my first point, and I think I've done enough to at least just make you take a peek. So we're gonna that was light work. Let's get real. Let's get really real with this thing. Let's go to hold on for a second here. Let's put that there. I always mess that up when I do that. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's the page I wanted anyway. This is even better. Okay, bad. So now, when we on to number 2. And this one is easy, and we don't even have to spend a whole lot of time with it. And this is one of the biggest flaws in Christianity. They continually overlook things or contradict things, or just say one thing and act like they didn't just say it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when back in the days when your mama used to whoop you and then ask you what you're crying for. It didn't tell you shut up. That's Christianity. In a nutshell, that's your religion. Remember how you used to feel when your mama used to whoop you? Then you start crying. Then she asks you what you're crying for. Then she tell you, shut up before I give you something to cry about. I thought that's what you just did. That's your religion. Your religion does that. Because now, here's where things just start to get like really weird for me. Just me personally, with this whole Adam and Eve thing. And y'all don't seem to care, so I gotta care for you. Now, when you're dealing with Adam and Eve, they tell you, if you ask anybody, just walk up to some random people, unless they conscious, and ask them who the first people are, and what they're gonna say. They're gonna say Adam and Eve. That is common public thought. What I don't understand is, why are you Christians so content with accepting things that your Bible don't say? Is it because most of y'all don't read it? Like, isn't that funny? Most Christians don't read the Bible. Most Christians couldn't tell you nothing outside of the Bible except for like the common stories that everybody knows. Past that point, they are lost. No reading, no nothing. How do you not dig into something that you have given your entire life to? That's weird. You believe in a God that you have no clue about. You don't even know what God means. You don't even know where the word came from. So, here we go. Adam and Eve. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, and when the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. No shrub had yet appeared on the earth, no plant had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no one to wait. For the Lord God had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no one to work the ground. But streams came up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now, I think it's weird that God took so long to realize that he was going to need somebody to tend the ground. But y'all don't pay attention to stuff like that. So, it says, the man called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. That's right after God pulls a chick out of a man's rib. And I'm not sure why God does that, because it's weird. How is okay? What I guess what I want to ask y'all is, excuse me for digging all of my shit. Did y'all see the part when or did you read the part where he was talking about creating man in his own image? Man and woman, he made he and she. And then he told them to go multiply. Did y'all read that part? Because if you read that part, that was the first creation. So if God made man and woman in his own image and told them to go multiply, how was Adam and Eve first, and how was Eve the mother of all? Now, hold on. Before you start getting all fancy on me and trying to dig into some interpretations of your own and putting what the pastor said with what you thought and all that. No. We're not going to do that. We going to deal with what the book say. This book. If you got some other interpretations or you got some other books to tell some more stories, they should have put it in here. Because this book is supposed to be the word of God. We're not dealing with what's in other books. We're dealing with what this book says. The question is, the Bible is in question, not any other documentation that you may find that you think is prevalent to the discussion. No, the Bible. So what the Bible says is God made some people first. Then he made Adam and Eve. So that right there puts the story in question, because there's an inconsistency there. If there was a creation prior to, then Adam and Eve is not the first. And Eve is not the mother of all living things. And why did they give her that name? But I will say this. For a later discussion, keep in mind something I want you to store in your memory bank for later, because I'm going to break this down so nasty. And I've never heard any other speaker do what I'm going to do. Keep in mind, The first creation was made in God's own image. And the second creation was made from the dust of the ground and then had life blown into them. First creation, direct descendants of the Creator. Second creation, created by the Creator. Two completely different species. Moving right along. We only on number 3 and already I honestly think I'm having too much fun. Because this stuff is like, sometimes I feel like I'm picking on kids. And I say that, no disrespect intended, because I was Christian for a long time. But once you really pull this faith apart, it's like, I can understand why there's so many passages that tell you to walk on faith and not to really look into things. Because if you devote an hour of your time into just digging into Christianity and don't find at least 10 things to make you skeptical, you either blind or don't really care. Number 3. Now, pardon me, but my little approaching about 5. What you want? Y'all gotta excuse me. Now, real quick, I'm gonna do this so quick, and I'm gonna leave a door open for you too. Who was Cain's son? Who was Adam's son? I kind of just said that backwards, so it answers the question. Cain. Or was it? Because here's the one thing I notice about Christians. When you make certain points, they be so quick to say, the Bible don't say that. The Bible don't say that. But if you find something that the Bible don't say, then they say all kind of stuff. They got all kind of reasons why it's real, even though the Bible don't say it. That's convenient. But I'm going to take a page out y'all book. When I ask you, is Cain Adam's son? And y'all tell me yes, I'm going to say, the Bible don't say that. Just like y'all do. The Bible don't. So you trying to put words in God's mouth. The Bible don't say that. That's what y'all be saying. The Bible don't say that. If you look, I'm going to show you right here. It says, these are the genealogy in the days and times of Adam. Now, y'all look. Begot. It's a whole long, oh my Lord, oh Lord help me. Look at all those begots. When he gonna begot Cain? Cause I don't see no. Wait. Okay, so if Adam and Eve, the first 2 people, the story say, so far we gotta look at all the players. Now this is a story, and it's a true story about life. So we gotta look at all the people in the story. So far we got God, and we got some direct descendants of God that he told to leave and don't talk about no more for some weird reason. And then you got some more people in a garden by themselves. And you got a snake that's supposed to be a bad guy named the devil. Now, what's the name of this lecture? Perception is everything. I don't like the fact that Christianity doesn't allow you to use your perception. Because if I use my perception in this story, it could get real ugly. So let's use our perception and see how ugly things can get. Oh my Lord. After this, y'all gonna call me a blasphemous and an atheist, and y'all gonna say, probably call me the oh my Lord, ain't no telling what y'all gonna say. Like I ain't believing in this. So, if all we got in the garden, because remember, the other creation beat it and didn't get talked about no more. So in the garden, we got Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, the serpent, and God. Maybe I said God already. What? So where does Cain come from? If he's not Adam's son, did Eve have a baby daddy before that went? No, because she got pulled out of rib. They say Adam had a chick before Lilith that nobody ever really talks about, but it's supposed to be in some other Bible. I don't know why it's not in this Bible. But, okay, so, but that wouldn't make sense either because Cain's still not an Adam's genealogy. So where's it come from? Let's see if we can go inside our story, because this is real history, you know, and find some answers. But that's what good Christians do. Pardon me, y'all, I'm hungry. So now, I'm going to paraphrase, because I'm tired of looking at my notes and it's late. But y'all done heard the story 1,000 times, so I can't really mess it up. It's like easy. So, let's follow this thing. God had two people, a man and woman, that look exactly like God. Whatever God is, according to y'all, is a man, but that's weird. Because how can he make a man and a woman that look just like him? Ain't that weird? If he made a man and a woman in his own image. Kind of weird. But he did it. Because that's what the book said, and the book never lie. But whoever them people was that look exactly like him, he told them to go and do you. Then he got these people that he just took some dirt and like, here, there y'all go. And then them people, he was looking at dude, and then dude, he asked dude, like, what's wrong, fam? And Adam was like, man, I'm lonely. Now, I got to get on my Dick Gregory right now. Because, see, as soon as y'all let that slide, that's when the problem occurs. Well, the problem occurred a long time ago. But it's so many things that y'all just let slide. If God put Adam in the garden by himself, he the only person there. He's never known anybody else. How the hell can he be lonely? For all he know, he not meant to have nobody. What does lonely mean? How can you be lonely when you've never had anybody? So as soon as you let that slide without question, we got a problem. But he got lonely. And so then, see, it's like, they say, don't blink, you'll miss it. When you blink on the he got lonely thing, then you get somebody pulled out of rib. But okay, we're going to deal with it. So, she gets pulled out the rib. Now, you got Adam, you got Eve, you got God. Then God says, You can have anything you want. Just don't eat off the tree of good and evil. You can have anything you want, but you can't have the tree of knowledge. That's rather odd. We can have anything, just no knowledge. What was God's angle with that one? Okay. Then God, I don't know where a God goes, but he go to wherever gods go. And then he leave them alone. Now, even though he know everything, he somehow wasn't watching when Eve somehow. See, the story get confusing. Okay, because I'm a logical person. I picture a garden, a big ass garden, grass, trees. It's open area. And the reason why God pulled this chick out my rib because I was lonely. So soon as he pulled my chick out my rib because I'm lonely, she ended up by a tree with the devil. Where the hell was Adam at? You just got her. This all you just told God you was bored. So he get you a girl, and what'd you go do? In a big wide open garden. And God told you, just like your mama say, you can't go outside when she leave the house. The first thing a nigga do is not finna be go outside. And let's just say it's you and your little cousin, she say, y'all can't go outside. That nigga ain't finna get far enough out your sight where you don't see where he went. Y'all in the house together. So I'm saying, they the only two people in the world. They in a garden. It's just grass. They together. When you look at all the pictures of the Garden of Eden, it look beautiful. You don't see grass so high that people is lost. You just see little pieces of. So how she get out this man's sight long enough to do the one rule? They had one rule. That was it. Y'all don't think about things like this. He had one rule. Stay away from the tree. How you let your chick get by herself? Now, here's where things get weird. They tell you the serpent, the devil. And when you look at the little pictures, they always show you a picture of a snake going around the tree like that's the only kind of serpent. But here's my thing. When does common sense kick in? Bro. Eve could have been as dumb as a box of rocks. Nobody talks to snakes, brother. Just nobody does that. My child is 2. If he see a snake on TV or alligator, or he say, "Oh, Papa, scary." So Eve went and talked to a snake on a tree. Why did she do that? Why would she even buy the tree? None of this makes sense. But it says serpent. So I don't know why they show you a picture of a snake. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's just a serpent. Now, they reference Lucifer or Satan as the serpent all the time throughout the Bible. But my thing is this. The Bible also says that there are biblical accounts that says he was the second most beautiful thing in heaven. He was a musician. He was like the number one. He could sing beautifully. And so, okay, wait a minute. Now the story takes an interesting turn. Adam turned his back for a second and his chick gone. She over by the tree with the second most beautiful nigga around that can sing. So wait a minute. This nigga sound like R. Kelly before the P and is gorgeous. I could see her talking to something like that, even though I have no clue where Adam is at while this is all transpiring. Now, the serpent says, eat the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. And she says no. And they always show you a picture of an apple. The Bible never says an apple. I don't know why they do that. Same reason why they show you a snake, just for whatever reason. Because they want you to think a certain way. So then she says, I can't do this because God says I'll die if I do it. Even though God never told her anything. He told Adam. And she wasn't even present when he told Adam. More weird stuff. Because the assumption would be, since he told this to Adam and never Eve, then you all are going to say, well, Adam must have told Eve. Yeah, right before he turned his back and completely lost her ass. If he told her, point blank period, hey, baby, we can do whatever we want to, just don't go over there. What was he doing while she was walking over there? I don't think. Now she over there with Johnny Gito getting serenaded by the tree. And he say, here, baby, take this. She said, no, I can't. I'm going to get in trouble. He said, no, baby, you ain't going to get in trouble. You're going to know everything after this. And she said, okay, well, I tried. In a nutshell. So, she was offered some forbidden fruit from her tree of knowledge. From the tree of knowledge, I mean. Okay, I got it. Now, yeah, anyway. So, that happens. And, then somehow, while this is transpiring, I don't imagine that it was a quick event, but while this is transpiring, the book doesn't really tell you what Adam dumbass was doing while this chick that he just begged for went missing. But she pops back up on the scene. And apparently, she has some new information. Say, hey, remember that one thing that we weren't supposed to do? It's all right. We can do that. And according to the scripture, it says, and she gave some to him. All right, so check this out. I know it was harsh, but it was necessary. And trust me, I'm definitely going somewhere with this. I mean, like, we got to wake up, people. I'm talking about grown adults, logical speaking, logical thinking people that function every day sometimes on extremely high levels. Yet all of you all have fallen for the same fairy tale. You actually think that the way the world started is God, a man, a woman, an apple, and a snake dude. Anyway, carry on. Follow the story and watch this. As I say, she shares with her husband. Now, then God comes back from wherever a guy goes after he tells his child, don't touch nothing. Because my son, too, and as soon as I tell dude don't touch, I'm not leaving. I'm watching him. You'll tell dude don't touch something. Dude will look at you while he touch it like, don't touch that. And then repeat, don't touch Papa. Like, I mean, follow the story. They show you This is where a lot of deception comes in. Images are important because you always see the image of a full-grown Adam and Eve. But the story is of a new creation. So why did God create adults? Like, that was weird. We all start out as babies, but God just said, I want 2 adults. And then he pulled a grown woman from a man's rib. Like he didn't pull a baby, he pulled a grown woman from a man's rib. And y'all bought that. Even though you came from a woman. This story is weird. Anyway, so now God comes in and then he says, Adam, did you do what I told you you ain't supposed to do? Because the first thing they did was hide their body parts. Like, how y'all go from eating apples to not people know they naked? Weird. But so they hide their privates. And then, you know what, I'm going to keep it real though. Adam did it like a player though. I ain't going to lie to you, man. Because he say, Adam, did you do what you weren't supposed to do? Adam did what you see niggas do every day. Not only did he blame the chick, he blamed God too. She said, yeah, I did. But it was her fault. And really, why you give her to me? The chick you gave me started all this. So, anyway, and then it's really weird because, like, okay, at this point, the devil been wreaking havoc. He deliberately went over there and did something he know he wasn't supposed to do. If I'm the serpent, I'm not right. You're going to spend the next 3 chapters talking about, and God couldn't find the serpent. Like, my nigga, I'm not going to still be there after I just tricked his, whatever. So either way it go. So now God's having a conversation, and then he says to Eve, woman, did you do what I told you you shouldn't do? Now, here's where it get good. I got something for y'all. Check this out. Check this out. This is actually awesome. Hold on, I'll do it the other way. Because he says, did you do what I told you you're not supposed to do? And she said, I did. The serpent beguiled me. Now, keep in mind, you got Christianity from your mama. Your mama got Christianity from her grandmama, and so on and so forth. Once you start getting a little bit further down the line, in a lot of cases, you're dealing with a lot of uneducated ex-slaves. And the ones who weren't slaves, you have to think, we haven't always been like just getting great education and had the freedom just to go read, write, and all that. You think about it, we was banned from learning for years. So when you think about it like that, how many times in 1907 are you sitting in church listening to the pastor, hearing words that you don't really understand, but have them explained to you because you can't really read that well? Figuratively speaking, it happens. So what I'm saying is, you have to look into the definitions of some of these words. Because when Eve says, the serpent beguiled me, look at this. It says, beguiled, charm or enchant someone, sometimes in a deceptive way. Now they give you a bunch of synonyms to go with it. Charm, attract, enchant, entrance, woo, captivate, bewitch, spellbind, dazzle, blind, hypnotize, mesmerize, seduce, tempt. How come most of these words have a sexual connotation? She said, the serpent beguiled me and I did eat. Now, A lot of y'all sitting there thinking, this nigga done snapped. He trying to pervert the scriptures. And no. Be cool. Watch this. I'm getting somewhere. Now, look at what God does next. What was the punishment? He told Satan that you're going to crawl on your belly and be the lowest of the low, blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. It is like 6 in the morning or something like that. But here's where it gets interesting. What does he tell Eve and the devil? He punishes her in pregnancy and tells both of them, I will put enmity between thee and thy seed. Well, just so happens I got the old trusty dictionary here. What is enmity? It says the state or feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. Synonyms: hostility, animosity, antagonism, friction, empathy, opposition, dissension, rivalry, feud, conflict, disorder, contempt, bitterness, rancor, resentment, aversion, dislike, ill feeling, ill will, bad blood, hatred, hate, loathing. So, the punishment for eating apples is Satan gonna crawl on his belly and be reduced to the lowest of the low. Eve is gonna be punished in pregnancy. Now it's gonna be a 9-month terror thing. And God is going to put hatred between thee and thy seed. What seeds are we talking about? Well, what do you know? Another definition. Well, the first definition, a flowering plant unit of reproduction capable of developing in another such plant. Well, I don't think God was going to put a kernel between them, or a stone, or a pip, or a germ. But the other one says semen, sperm, milk, ejaculate. Not sure what milk means, but it's probably nasty. A man's semen. So God says, I'm going to put hatred between thee and thy seed, and the woman will be punished 9 months pregnancy and will be forever connected to obey her husband. Now, okay, let's wrap this thing up. If I ask you right now, who are the children of Adam and Eve? You're going to say Cain and Abel. Because we all know the story. God made Adam and Eve, man, the first man and woman, pulled Eve from the rib, and then told them don't eat from the tree of knowledge. The devil tricked her. She ate, shared the apple with Adam. God came in, they covered themselves. God punished those two. Eve had Cain, then Abel. Then Cain killed Abel and was banished from the garden. Quick recap. Now, here's the deal. Although it does say Adam knew his wife, and it does say Eve had Cain, here's what it doesn't say. In the genealogy of Adam, nowhere is Cain ever mentioned. I've read it like 15 times. I even this is almost too much fun, to be honest with you. I managed to get my hands on, what do you know? Here you go, right here. Now check it out. Both give you a full-blown genealogy. Neither of the two says a single thing about this guy, Cain, that you're looking for. So why is it common knowledge that that Cain is Adam and Eve's son? However, when we're looking right here, you don't see it anywhere on there. I'm going to tell you why. Let's keep going with the story. What happens? They both allegedly are to give a sacrifice to God. And apparently, God prefers Cain's sacrifice, or prefers Abel's sacrifice over Cain's. Cain gets jealous, goes off in a fit of rage, and kills his brother. Now, this is important. When he leaves, y'all remember this. When he leaves, he goes to the land of Nod, where he miraculously ends up with a wife, which nobody can seem to explain. You sit here and you repeatedly say, even by definition of her name, Eve, it would insinuate what they're telling you is going on, which her being the mother of all. However, how is this possible when every time someone hits a Christian with any respectable point, the first thing the Christian will say to you is either find it in the Bible or that's not in the Bible. So therefore, for this particular lesson, we will do no insinuating, because if it's not in the Bible, we're not going to deal with it. Not tonight anyway. We're only dealing with what the Bible says. All right. With that being said, the Bible says there was a creation made in God's image, man and woman. That was the first thing we heard. We did not hear anything about that creation in connection with Adam and Eve. God builds all these other things, and then creates Adam to till the ground in the garden. From the dust of ground, blew breath into Adam, and then pulled a grown-ass woman out of his rib, which is still weird to me, but either way it goes. Here's something important. I bet you missed it. I told you these stories have double meanings. They're talking over your head. You're supposed to get caught up in the mysticism and all the crap that they show you on the Ten Commandments. It's good for Hollywood film. Doesn't make it real. After God removes Eve from Adam's rib, he says, and a deep sleep came over Adam, and he slept. When did he wake up? Because it don't say it in the Bible that he does. Now, you're going to assume we just, no. We're not assuming tonight. Or this morning, rather. We started tonight. This is this morning. This morning, there will be no assumptions. There will be what Christians are supposed to live by. The inherent word of God. The Bible. So we're not dealing with assumptions, speculations, or none of that. We're taking directly out of the scriptures what the scripture says and working with what we got. So, after Eve was removed from the rib, a deep sleep fell upon Adam and he slept. Doesn't say when he was awoken up. Now, carry on with the story. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Now, somehow, we get to this whole tree thing. Now, according to Scripture, once again, that's all we're dealing with today. It says in Ezekiel that Satan was perfect in all ways, beautiful, extreme intelligence. He was perfection until so. While you would like to believe that the devil is some ugly red dude with horns and a pitchfork, that is not what it says. It says he was beautiful. And also, he was a musician. The musician. Numero uno. The man. So, it's more likely, if you're dealing with a newborn, is she more likely to be beguiled, seduced, and all of those other fun words we used? Is that more likely to happen from an ugly ass snake or a gorgeous dude sitting by the tree singing? Now, we get to the forbidden fruit and the tree of knowledge. In our society, for all teenagers, those that do participate and those who don't, your moment where you begin to see life on the terms of knowledge of good and evil does not really occur until after your first sexual experience. Think about it. A barrier is broken where you have a completely different understanding of things after your first sexual experience. What are all parents trying to shelter their children from birth? Their first sexual experience and making the wrong decisions and countering and participating in that experience too soon. Because once you do, you will then see life different in terms of good and bad. Before that, you are just doing. Now, what is supporting what I'm saying? Because after being intercepted by a beautiful individual, the next thing that happens is she goes back and shares whatever it was with her husband. The sharing of that, they could have noticed anything. Okay, they say, well, now they ashamed. Why? You are never ashamed of your body part until you know what it does. Period. You are never ashamed of your body parts. Little kids ain't ashamed of their damn body parts. If you getting the kids ready for swimming, boy, girl, I don't care what it was. If you tell them change, the only way they know to go is you will see, like in the first, you will see them start. No, you have to tell them, no, that's a little girl. You got to go. You got to tell them because they don't know. Think about how many times when you have little boys and little girls together, you have to explain to them certain things that they shouldn't do because of their sexuality. Because instinctively, they don't know. So now, carry on with the synopsis I'm bringing. So now, they know they're naked. God asks, did you? He says yes, because of the woman. So now, think about this. Let's just use some thought. If your woman come back, if you're a teenager, let's say a teenage boy, if somebody say you can't have no apple or you can't have no grape or whatever the fruit is because of whatever reason, it's fruit, okay. You may be tempted, but you can resist it. Can you resist being come on to, even though you're not supposed to? So imagine if the giving of an apple was the giving of something else, a temptation. Even though you were just told you're not supposed to, you're being aroused for the first time. That is a lot harder to turn down than a freaking apple. Just flow with me for a minute. I'm going to bring it together. So now, tempted, what does Eve say? Once again, we only dealing with the Bible. Why did the author choose that particular word? That word was not needed to make the story. Don't give a frick. It had to be translated. Y'all gonna say, well, that's how they spoke back then. No, because they translated it. So that's not how they spoke back then. We're not dealing with how they spoke back then. We're dealing with the translation. I'm sure there were similar words. And if you're saying, well, we're going to do exactly what was translated. Okay, so that means when it was translated from Latin, that translation, that word was one similar to seduction. So they found a word in the English language similar to seduction, and that's what they chose. Why? They could have used different words. They could have just said deceived. It's not like a little word. That's like a fairly, they could have said deceived. Misled. Misguided. They could have said a lot of things, but they didn't. They said beguiled. And then, what happens next? The punishment. If all they did was eat fruit, just think about it. These are your newborns. Why are we being so harsh on them? They're newborns. It seems like, I mean, if you're asking me from a standpoint where I have to make a non-emotional decision, I would say this sounds like a setup. But I don't want to distract you from the story, so let's keep flowing. The punishment is hatred between thee and thy seed. What seeds are we talking about if all they did was eat fruit? My scenario goes a hell of a lot better than the one you was taught in church. And even though you don't want to admit it, it's because it's embarrassing, but think about it, and I'm going to prove it in a second. So now, hatred between thee and thy seed, and now you will be punished in pregnancy. You'll have 9 months where it's going to be, why? Why was the punishment in childbirth and in hatred between thee and thy seed? And the final thought was, you are bound to be loyal to your husband. Why? Because if you've never been taught what disloyalty to your husband is, then you have no concept of it. So when you're being beguiled by the most intelligent, the most deceptive, the most beautiful creature God ever created according to the scriptures, why would he appear as an ugly ass snake? If he had the ability to be beautiful, why not appear as beauty? Remember, he hadn't been punished yet. Which is another twisted thing about the story. But because he's being called a serpent, but he hadn't got the punishment to be called on the all that hadn't come yet. But either way. So now, what brings this home to what I'm trying to say to you? Hatred between thee, enmity between thee and thy seed. And then the very first child that pops up is Cain. The next child is Abel. Cain is not in Adam's genealogy. Yet he's first to come up out of Eve. And then he kills his brother. Why? Why does he kill his brother? I'm going to tell you why he kills his brother. I'm going to tell you right now. Enmity, hostility, animosity, antagonism, friction, antipathy, opposition, dissension, rivalry, feud, conflict, discord, contention, bitterness, rancor, resentment, aversion, dislike, ill feeling, ill will, bad blood, hatred. God said this would be the punishment. So who is thee and thy seed? The first seed would have had to been the serpents. Satan. It has to be. There is no other explanation because of the punishment and what your scripture says. He says he's talking to the serpent and to Eve. They are receiving their punishment. He says, I will put enmity between thee and thy seed. And then the very next child, the first child that comes out is Cain. The next child is Abel. And then the Bible is so bold, the author is so bold, it's like he wants you to know, but he know you won't look. Because on the very next page, he says, here is Adam in the days and times, the genealogy. And he gives you a whole page. And don't say Cain once. On the next page. They didn't even respect your mind enough to put it 4 or 5 pages. They put it on the next page. Because they know you're not going to look. Because they have faith in the teacher that they put in front of you. Now, they have Cain. She has Cain. They have Abel. Cain kills Abel. And it's important. Why? Because he preferred the blood sacrifice, the slaughtering of a lamb. The lamb has an esoteric meaning. You're going to deal with the lamb again later. Later on, they call Jesus the Lamb of God. It's called foreshadowing in a literary work. So now, after Cain kills Abel and gets kicked out the garden, he is banished to the land of Nod. That's where he goes. Now, remember when I told you Adam was put to sleep when he wasn't waking up. And then Cain ends up in the land of Nod. Why am I telling you this? They say, you've heard, we live in the Matrix, an illusionary existence. Is that the author's way of confirming that? Because if they tell you, here's the trap. If they tell you Adam was the first man, and they put the first man to sleep and never woke his ass up, why'd that make you sleep? Because according to them, we are all descendants of Adam, which I'm about to knock a hole in that right now. Because see, it's so much in this little piece right here that it's important that you understand. So I'm going to give it to you as quick as I possibly can. You have to understand a few quick things. Science is important. You cannot omit science in your research. This is why the author of the Bible sends you as far away from science and common sense as possible. And religious figures always tell you that science opposes God. I bet. But they tell you all things are God. Weird. Okay, but anyway, now. It says in the beginning, everything was darkness. And from that darkness, in the beginning, God created. So if it was all darkness in the beginning, I have two questions for you. What is the total darkness that encompasses God? And who is God? Look up in the sky right now at nighttime. It is pitch black. When you see a picture of the planets, you see pitch black and then you see planets. Whatever that pitch black is encompasses all. So it would be safe for me to surmise that everything came from that pitch black because it still encompasses everything. So if there's nothing that we know of outside of that pitch black, because according to what you see on TV, when you leave the planet, it's pitch black out there too. You watch Star Wars and shit, everything in space seems to be pitch black. So then what is space? The darkest of the dark. So then what is triple darkness? Melanin. Melanin. The darkest of the dark, the triple blackness that you see inside the sky, that is melanin. You know this stuff right here? Gator Man, and I'm out. Always remember, knowledge is the only real power. Information is the only real currency. Now go be beautiful.